We will explore why collective agreements are absolutely central to how the Danish labor market works, and why they matter not just to unions and employers, but to anyone interested in economic competitiveness, social stability, and sustainable growth. Denmark is often held up as a model for balancing flexibility for companies with security for employees. At the heart of this balance is a system that relies far less on detailed labor legislation than many other countries, and far more on negotiated solutions between organized labor and organized employers. These negotiated solutions take the form of collective agreements, which set frameworks for wages, working hours, holidays, pensions, training, and a wide range of working conditions across sectors and industries. Rather than Parliament dictating every rule, the Danish model gives primary responsibility to the social partners, employer associations and trade unions with strong membership, high representativeness, and a long tradition of pragmatic compromise. For employees, collective agreements provide predictability and protection. They create a clear baseline. You know the minimum you can expect in terms of pay levels, overtime compensation, rest periods, leave entitlements, and safety standards. This is particularly important in a country like Denmark, where there is no statutory minimum wage set by law. Instead, wages are effectively regulated through the bargaining power embedded in collective agreements. When coverage is broad and agreements are robust, it reduces the risk of wage dumping, limits arbitrary treatment, and ensures that productivity gains are more fairly shared. At the same time, collective agreements in Denmark are not rigid rulebooks that slow organizations down. They are typically designed with a notable degree of flexibility, allowing companies and local workplaces to adjust how they implement the framework to match their specific realities. For example, agreements may define an overall number of working hours and key principles for overtime, but leave room for local scheduling solutions, individual preferences, and seasonal peaks. This flexibility is one of the reasons Danish employers, including many multinational companies, often support the model. It provides labor cost predictability and conflict resolution mechanisms, while still enabling adaptation and innovation in how work is organized. From a macroeconomic perspective, collective agreements also underpin Denmark's flexicurity model. Employers can typically adjust workforce levels more easily than in many other European countries due to relatively liberal employment protection rules. In return, employees are buffered by relatively generous unemployment benefits and strong active labor market policies. Collective agreements function as the connective tissue that makes this system acceptable and sustainable. They secure fair terms for those in work, contributing to high levels of trust in the labor market institutions, and they give unions a legitimate and constructive role in managing change. Whether companies are restructuring, investing in technology, or shifting production, negotiations between social partners can calibrate how that transformation is implemented, helping to limit social backlash and maintain productivity. Another critical dimension is skills and competence development. Many Danish collective agreements explicitly address training, education funds, and lifelong learning. They allocate resources and build structures for upskilling and reskilling, often through joint funds managed by employer organizations and unions. In a small, high-cost economy like Denmark's, this coordinated investment in human capital is not just a social good. It is a competitive necessity. By embedding training commitments into collective agreements, the system helps workers stay employable and enables businesses to access the skills they need, reducing friction in periods of technological or structural change. Collective agreements also play a key role in integrating new groups into the labor market. For migrant workers, young people, and those entering new sectors, agreements provide transparent and consistent standards that reduce information asymmetry and vulnerability. Clear, sector-wide frameworks make it harder to exploit information gaps by offering substandard wages or unsafe conditions. They also offer defined pathways for progression, such as trainee schemes and qualification-based pay structures, which are laid out in the agreements and understood by all parties. This clarity supports social cohesion and reduces tensions that can arise when newcomers are perceived as undercutting established workers. From a governance standpoint, collective agreements reduce the need for constant political intervention in detailed labor matters. Because the social partners negotiate and update terms on a regular cycle, the system can adapt more quickly and pragmatically than if every change required new legislation. When disputes arise, there are institutionalized mechanisms like mediation, arbitration, and labor courts that operate within the framework of these agreements. This reduces the number of disruptive industrial conflicts and creates a predictable environment for long-term business planning. Importantly, the Danish tradition is not one of confrontation, but of problem-solving. Both sides understand that maintaining competitiveness and decent working conditions is a shared objective, and collective agreements are the primary tool for aligning those interests. For international companies operating in Denmark, understanding collective agreements is therefore not optional. It is a strategic imperative. Compliance is not just about avoiding legal or reputational risk. It is about tapping into a stable, skilled, and engaged workforce. Many foreign executives initially see collective agreements as a constraint, but over time, they often come to appreciate the benefits. Lower turnover, high trust levels, and a clear framework that reduces the need for individual negotiations on every detail. Similarly, for policymakers and observers outside Denmark, collective agreements offer insights into how a labor market can combine flexibility, competitiveness, and social protection without relying solely on top-down regulation. Looking ahead, collective agreements will continue to matter as Denmark navigates the green transition, digitalization, and demographic shifts. Questions around remote work, platform-based labor, AI-driven productivity, and late career employment will all need solutions. In the Danish context, these solutions are unlikely to come only from new laws. They will be shaped in bargaining rooms, where unions and employer organizations interpret emerging realities through the lens of shared long-term interests. The capacity of the collective bargaining system to absorb and channel change will be a critical factor in preserving Denmark's high employment levels, broad middle class, and strong social trust. In conclusion, collective agreements in Denmark are far more than technical documents exchanged between negotiators. They are a foundational institution that structures wages and working conditions, supports skills development, underpins the flexicurity model, and fosters both competitiveness and cohesion. They matter because they translate abstract values, fairness, efficiency, responsibility, into concrete operational rules that guide millions of workdays every year. For anyone trying to understand why the Danish labor market delivers both high productivity and relatively low inequality, collective agreements are not a side note. They are the main story.